Assalamualaikum, welcome to my YouTube channel. In this video I am going to discuss chemical bonding. The subtopics are chemical bond, types of chemical bond that are ionic bond, covalent bond and coordinate covalent bond. We can also call it as dative bond with examples. So let's start. What is chemical bond? As we all know that matter is composed of atoms. So the attractive force which binds atom together is called as a chemical bond or chemical forces. Few elements also consist of unbounded atoms. For instance, helium, neon, argon, xenon and krypton. Present in the atmosphere consist of unbounded atoms. The way in which various atoms are bonded together has an effect on the properties of substances. In this video, you will explore the nature of various types of chemical bonding. Now the question arises, why do atoms form chemical bond? The essential answer is that everyone in the world desires to be stable in their life. Atoms are just like that, they are also trying to become more stable. So atoms try to share required number of electrons with each other to obtain the electronic configuration of noble gases. Noble gases have electronic configuration Ns2 and p6 in the outermost shell, and they rarely form chemical bonds. The noble gases are helium, neon, argon, krypton, xenon and radon. So all elements tend to obtain configuration of noble gases. So chemical bonding is the combining of atoms to form new substances. Atoms can lose, gain or share valence electrons to form chemical bonds. Now come to the topic types of chemical bonds. There are three types of chemical bond depending on the tendency of an atom to lose or gain or to share electrons. So the first type is ionic bond. In the formation of ionic bond, an atom loses electron and changes into positive ion cation, whereas another atom gains this electron and changes into negative ion, that is anion. These cations and anions have opposite charges. They attract one another by electrostatic force of attraction. The force of attraction that holds the oppositely charged ions together are called as ionic bond or electrovalent bond. We can also call it as electrovalent bond. So this is the proper and basic definition of ionic bond. Generally, ionic bond is formed between the atoms of two different groups, metal and non-metal. Compounds that contain ionic bonds are called ionic compounds, such as sodium chloride, potassium chloride, magnesium fluoride, etc. The general example of ionic bond is sodium chloride. Sodium atom is a metal of 1A group of the periodic table and has only one electron in the outermost shell. The electron arrangement of sodium atom is 281. In K shell, sodium has 2 electrons. In L shell, sodium has 8 electrons. In M shell, sodium has 1 electron. By losing one electron from the outermost shell, sodium forms a cation, that is Na positive. So when sodium releases one electron from its outermost shell, it forms Na positive ion and its configuration becomes 2,8. In K shell it has 2 electron and in L shell it has 8 electron. Whereas chlorine atom is a non-metal of group 7A and has 7 electrons in its outermost shell. The electron arrangement of chlorine atom is 287, as you can see. Since chlorine atom has 7 electrons in its outermost shell, it needs 1 electron to complete its octet. So by gaining 1 electron, chlorine atom now has 8 electrons in its outermost shell and a chloride ion is formed, Cl negative. The elements that have 8 electrons in its outermost shell are stable. So the Na positive and Cl negative combine and form a chemical bond that is called ionic bond, as you can see on the board. Now come to the second type of chemical bond, that is covalent bond. In this type of bond, electrons are not gained or lost by atoms. A covalent bond is formed by mutual sharing of electrons between two atoms. This type of bonding occurs between two atoms of the same element or atoms of different element. This bonding occurs primarily between nonmetals. However, it can also be observed between metals and nonmetals. Now consider the formation of covalent bond between two hydrogen atoms. Hydrogen belongs to group 1a and has one electron in their valence shell. When two hydrogen atoms share their valence electron, both atoms achieve the electronic configuration of noble gas and satisfy the duplet rule. These all are the example of covalent bond. As we know, covalent bond is formed by mutual sharing of electrons between two atoms. The electrons of atoms that pair up to form a chemical bond are called bond pair electrons. Depending upon the number of bond pair electrons, a covalent bond is further classified into three types, that are single covalent bond, double covalent bond and triple covalent bond. Now I will discuss example of each type, single covalent bond, double and triple also. A covalent bond which is formed by the mutual sharing of one bond pair is called a single covalent bond. It is represented by a single short line. The formation of HH, HCl, CH4 are the few examples of this type of bonding. The first example I am going to discuss is H2. Let us consider H-ion, two H-ions. As you all know, hydrogen contains one valence electron. When these two ions combine and form a bond called single covalent bond, just like that. The second example is chlorine molecule. A chlorine atom belongs to group 7a and it has 7 outer electrons. It needs one more electron to achieve a stable octet electronic configuration. When two chlorine atoms share their valence electrons, both atoms achieve the electronic configuration of noble gas. The single bond in chlorine molecule is represented by a dot and cross, as you can see in form of equation. Now the type 2, that is double covalent bond. A covalent bond which is formed by the mutual sharing of two bond pairs called a double covalent bond, and it is represented by two short straight lines. The example of molecules have double bonds are oxygen and ethane. Sorry, not ethane, it's ethene, C2H4. Oxygen atom belongs to group 6a of periodic table and it has 6 valence electrons in its outer shell. It needs 2 more electrons to achieve a stable octet electronic configuration. Each oxygen atom will share 2 of its outer electrons with another oxygen atom to form an oxygen molecule, O2. Thus, 2 pair of electrons are shared between the 2 oxygen atoms to form a double covalent bond. The double covalent bond is in an oxygen molecule is represented by dot and cross diagram, or you can say equation, as you can see. Another example of double covalent bond in ethene molecule can be represented as, that is ethene molecule. Now come to the third one, that is triple covalent bond. A covalent bond which is formed by mutual sharing of 3 bond pairs called triple covalent bond. It is represented by 3 short straight lines, for example nitrogen and ethylene C2H2. The first example is nitrogen N2, as you can see dot and cross structure. The second example is ethylene molecule, as you can see. Now this is all about today's video. In next video I'll come with another topic. Till then, Allah Hafiz.